Hey creative friend, welcome to another art journal video. This month I am so excited to be the October 2022 guest artist for the Mixed Media Menagerie challenge held by the wonderful Nicole, Laura, and Erin. You will find links to all their videos in the video description. This month's challenge uses ink, fountain pen, and cut it up. I was pretty excited about these prompts because I absolutely love cutting up pattern papers, and I pretty much always use inks. The fountain pen was great because I had one for years but never used it, so it's a perfect time. The inks I'm using are Distress Oxide sprays and pads by Holtz, which are actually a hybrid of dye and pigment. Plus they are water reactive, so you get this really great distressed oxidized effect to them. The pattern papers are mostly from different sets by Stamperia, but then one by 3/4 Designs. For the background, I use a technique with Saran Wrap that works perfect with inks to create amazing texture. First I spray down the ink so the pages are quite saturated, and then I add some water to get the inks to react. I had an idea where I was going to be placing the paper cutouts to create focal points, so I focused on spraying this beautiful turquoise color there. Once a good wet layer of inks are applied, I went and grabbed a couple pieces of Saran Wrap and placed them on top of the pages. The more scrunched up the Saran Wrap is, the more texture you will get. Then just leave your pages to dry. Here is a close-up of what the wet ink and Saran Wrap will look like. While the pages are drying, this is a perfect time to work on cutting up those papers. I went through my paper pads ahead of time and pre-selected the images I wanted to use. I find creating this way is easier when I have a general plan. It helps me to not get overwhelmed during the creating process. I will either have a color palette or paper images chosen ahead of time, then I work off that. I am not very good at choosing as I go because I think when you have an assortment of art supplies, it can be distracting having to choose in the moment. So for me, I love having a basic game plan of a color palette and papers, then everything else flows from that. Once the inks are dry, time to remove the Saran Wrap. Look at that awesome, almost veiny texture. The intensity of the texture look will depend on the colors you choose, so have fun playing with this technique. Here are all my paper cutouts ready to play with. As I mentioned before, knowing where I was going to be placing the papers and applying that bright turquoise color, it almost acts like a guide to work from. I just start placing and arranging the papers until I'm happy with how it looks. I also don't glue anything down yet because I'll be adding some stenciling to those areas, highlighting it even more. I sometimes will take a picture with my phone to remember the placement of the papers, but this is not necessary since it will always turn out different either way. I also had some gear die cuts by Holtz that I wanted to incorporate. The gear dies were cut out of a paper shipping envelope, so they need to be colored, which you will see me do next. To color them, I'm using an ink by Lindy's Gang called Moonshadow Mist. It is a walnut toned ink with brass colored mica in it. Perfect for using on gears. Here I'm adding some stenciling to the background. You could of course do this after the papers are glued down, but I actually find it easier this way. I think because I create digital designs, I am so used to working in individual layers. This is the ink pad version of the Distress Oxide inks. They are great for stenciling because they don't bleed under the stencils, they are easy to apply, and have almost an airbrush look to them. It all depends on how much pressure you use, so they are very easy to control. Now that the background is finished, paper pieces cut and colored, time to glue everything down. I won't show the whole process of gluing these papers down since you already saw me put everything together earlier. I am going to use my fountain pen to add some journaling. This pen is by Jane Davenport that I bought years ago. It took me a minute to figure out how to use it, but I'm glad I did because I really like the look it added to the pages. I will definitely be using this again. I pretty much always add ink around the edges of the pages. I love how it creates a frame look to the spread. I sometimes add just a bit to the edges, or like here, I blend quite a bit inward, creating a much more intense frame look. You can use one color, or you can even play around with a couple colors. These inks blend amazing together. I actually ended up adding purple to the edges as well later. Stamping is something I generally do for finishing touches. This crackle stamp is a very loved one from my stash. And I cannot finish a page without splatters. That would be very hard for me to do. Here I am adding a touch of orange distress spray and the moonshadow mist with the brass mica used earlier. This is where I decided to add purple to the edges. It just felt like it needed more of this color on the pages. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, and consider subscribing if you have not done so already. I want to thank Nicole, Laura, and Erin for having me be a part of this month's Mixed Media Menagerie challenge. If you created along with this month's challenge, use the hashtag MMMOCT22 so others can see the work that you created on Instagram and YouTube. Until next time, happy art journaling.